Any last words?
Any last words?
Any last words?
Any last words, Fredrickson? Come on, spit it out! Any last words?
So, any last words?
Just don't shoot me in the face. I got a date tonight and I don't want it to puff up.
Any last words?
Today we're kicking off our last series of the school year called Last Words. We are still unsure of what the summer's gonna look like for Breakaway. We're hoping that maybe we'll get to meet in some capacity, but we don't really know yet. So, while we're doing that, we have this series for the next few weeks called Last Words, where we're gonna get to hear from some of our 8th graders, sharing some wisdom and some of their experience with you, as well as some other awesome people, all right? So stay tuned. Important for you to know is that the next couple of weeks will be just like this. We'll have videos where we'll have probably 2 or 3 different people share each week about their favorite Bible verse, why it's their favorite Bible verse, and some advice that maybe they'd share with their 6th grade self. But believe me, it applies to 6th, 7th, and even if you're going into 8th grade next year. And I gotta tell you, it's good advice. And then I'll spend a little bit of time breaking down what their favorite Bible verse is and maybe even how it connects to the advice that they're sharing. So something we should probably talk about today is transitions. Here's the definition: the process of changing from one state or condition to another. Or it could be the passage in a piece of writing that connects one part of the story smoothly to another. Or a change of an atom, nucleus, or electron from one quantum state to another. I think all of us know is that life is full of transitions. Whether it's day to night, winter, I'm so cold, to spring, to summer, lay back, 'cause it's summertime, to fall. You mess with one man, you got a song. Transition like right now, going from the school year to summer. Going from wet to dry, like my daughter Nora when she was running in puddles earlier this week in our backyard. Go ahead, check this out. Whoa. Or maybe even a transition like going from quarantine and staying at home to not anymore. Hopefully sometime soon. Now, I know I'm risking the chat blowing up right now by a couple of you, but I'm gonna talk about TikTok because TikTok is obviously an app that is pretty much a trend right now. We don't know how long it'll last. Maybe you know someone who's gone viral on TikTok. I personally have not done that. However, one of the keys to some of the best TikTok is how they do transitions. You guessed it. So I figured I'd show you one because I might as well learn too. All right, here we go. Take a blanket, transition. The long way. Hot dog, hamburger, hot dog it is. The key is that it has to be the same, right? So I'm just gonna lift it and put it into a cape. Put it into a cape, that's what I'll do. Ooh. Oh yeah. All right, make sure the seam is the same. And we just do the same thing. 3, 2, 1. Okay, one more time. Okay, so take it easy, okay? I tried my best. I don't know at this point that I'm recording this how that's gonna look. I hope it looks amazing. But I know that I'm not the best at transitions. I have a friend who recently did go viral on TikTok, so go ahead and check out this video and see if you can see where the transition took place.
It's been a long day without you, my friend.
If you noticed the familiarity, it was Caffeine Carl is my friend Stephen Tomzik, the Great Ruiners. Shout out if you want to follow him. He's hilarious and they do an amazing job. Now, here's the thing. Some of you were able to notice it, the transition where they go down the step and then the camera, you can see it turns and you can't really tell if it's the same shot or not. It's probably the second shot where then their daughter, Sawyer, is no longer in the car seat, right? So, but transitions are kind of like that in reality. Sometimes they just kind of happen. and we don't realize it. That process, maybe it just, we're growing up. The seasons, a lot of the time we don't notice, like spring to summer. I still don't know if that's happened yet. I don't think so. I do think we're in spring. Winter to spring in Michigan is usually one of the harder ones to notice. I think we're past winter. We're beyond. Fingers crossed. We're like almost into June, so I really hope winter is done. But like spring's gonna kind of not exist in my opinion. It's gonna be like 20 days and then it'll be summertime. But that's just it. Transitions just kind of happen. And I do believe though that there are things we can do as we go through transitions to ready ourselves and to focus on God, and maybe even take them as an opportunity to see the things that God has done. And so to get us started today, our first 8th grader of the day, Katri Thompson, is going to share her favorite Bible verse and some advice that she would give to herself when she was younger, but I think again applies to all of us today. So go ahead, check out this first video about her favorite Bible verse.
My favorite Bible verse is Joshua 1 verse 9, which says, "Have I not commanded you, be strong and courageous?" I really love this Bible verse personally because, well, first of all, my grandma showed it to me, and she kind of I was like, what does that even mean? Like, that's okay, I'm strong, it doesn't matter to me. But she kind of gave it a new meaning, so I'm going to share with you what she told me. That's why it's my favorite verse. God tells us to be strong and courageous because there's times that we get pushed around, or there's times that we feel like we might not have a voice. And basically, you need to listen to that, be strong and courageous. There's going to be times where, people can make fun of you for believing in God. It's not cool, but it happens, and you just have to be strong and, stand up for what you believe in. And the same goes for, anything. That's why I love that verse. That's why that's my favorite verse, because I can really take that and apply it to my life in so many ways, where I can be strong and courageous. Anyways, I like to think of this verse, be strong and courageous, every time I go through something that's kind of scary, in the face of fear, you just have to remember that verse, be strong, be strong, be strong and courageous. You don't need to be scared of middle school. You just have to be strong, be yourself and be courageous, and you got this.
I really love what Katri shared here and how this verse has stuck with her in the times that she's needed it. What I love most, though, I think is at the end of this verse, so how it says, be strong and courageous. What it says next is it says, don't be afraid, for I am with you and will be with you wherever you go. So the reason, it's not just saying, hey, you got to be strong, you got to be strong, you got to be brave, you got to be courageous. It's saying, hey, be strong, be courageous, and here's why. It's because God's presence goes with us every single place we go. So I love, Katri, that you shared that. So next, we've got some advice from Katri. So go ahead, check this out.
Hi, I'm Katri. I go to Kcstudents.orion, and I go to school in Clarkston, and I'm going to be going into high school. So Sam asked me to tell you some things about middle school. The first piece of advice is the people that you hang out with are going to affect what you're like. So if you want to get super good grades, or you want to be a super kind person, then hang out with people that get good grades, hang out with kind people. But if you hang out with people that vape or post bad things on social media, then you're gonna start doing those things, because the people around you really have a big effect on what you act like. My next thing is, it kind of goes along with friends. Middle school, everyone says oh, middle school, it's so scary. I mean, it is, and people are always scared that they're gonna lose their friends from elementary. And that's true, you're gonna lose friends from elementary, but everybody does that. Everyone going to middle school loses a couple friends, but you're also gonna get the opportunity to make a ton of friends, which is why it's important to be yourself and be friendly so that you can attract friends to yourself. Another thing is sports and clubs. Everyone needs an activity, something to keep you occupied and keep you busy. But yeah, in 6th grade I started playing volleyball, and I was oh, this could be fun. Well, now volleyball is a huge part of my life. I was the captain of my team last year, and I also play travel, and that's how I met a ton of my friends. That's something that keeps me busy, and that's just a huge part of who I am now. So yeah, I would recommend that you try out for sports, or you go in a club of an art club, Spanish club, something you find interesting. Honestly, middle school is not something to be scared of at all. You're gonna have bad days, but everyone goes through those. Even the people you look up to, they have bad days too. It's just a part of life, but especially middle school. And you shouldn't really be scared. Just be yourself. I know that sounds oh, be yourself, but it's true. It really helps. And I'm so excited for you guys to go to middle school.
Thanks so much, Katri, for sharing that. I love that you tried something new, that you didn't really know what volleyball was going to be like, but you were brave in that moment and you decided to go for it. And it's become, like you said, a part of who you are. And so for all of us, I think it's important for us to try new things, to do things that are going to make us interact with other people, right? So you meet new people when you do new things. That makes sense. But more importantly, I think we can learn more about ourselves. We can learn even more about how God designed us and how his design for us can really look in our lives. So I love that. And then the other thing that you said was awesome. I don't think there's anything more true than knowing that the people we surround ourselves with are going to impact and affect how we live and who we become. I have a buddy who says this. He says it like this. He says, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Think about that. Show me your friends and I will show you your future, which just means if you show me and tell me who the people you spend the most time with, that's what you're going to turn into. Like whatever they're about, whatever they do, whatever they enjoy, whatever they build their lives around, those are the things you're going to enjoy. Those are the things you're going to be doing. That's the kind of person you're going to become. So make sure that you are being really intentional and careful about who's closest to you. So great advice, Katri. Thanks so much for sharing that with all of us. Now we've got Kyle, another one of our 8th graders. Go ahead, check out this advice from him about school and fear and grades.
Hey Breakaway, my name's Kyle Winter, and I'm here with some advice for 6th graders that may have been struggling with the same thing that I was in 6th grade. In 6th grade, I was pretty close. I was close with God already, so I didn't really need anything, and I didn't really have a whole lot of stuff that was going wrong with me, except for the fact that I was really scared to get bad grades in classes. Because the jump from elementary to middle school is really big, and the curriculum changed so much that you don't know what to expect, if that makes any sense. In 6th grade, I would get good grades and then some bad grades. Like in social studies, I wasn't very good. But then once these huge tests were coming out, I got really stressful. But then I came to my senses that I needed to stop putting video games in front of homework, or I would hang out with my friends instead of doing homework, which I think isn't a very good idea. If you're struggling with classes, you need to put the work in, and you need to bust your butt off to do all the things that are necessary to get good grades in classes. And looking back on how scared I was, I really didn't need to be that scared if I was doing what I needed to do for the classes that I was struggling in. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I have for you. Just keep putting in work and determination towards your goals, and yeah.
All right, Kyle, thanks, man. You the man. I love it. I think what I loved most, well, here's newsflash. School is important, guys. Grades are important. But what I loved most about what you said was kind of there at the end, and he mentioned that if he would have, when he looks back on how scared he was, he said that he wouldn't need to have been as scared if he would have been doing the things he needed to do. And it just made me wonder, made me think about, like, what are the things maybe that you get scared about? What are the things you get anxious about, you get worried about? And maybe, like, I wonder how much control we actually have. So, like, Kyle was scared, but all he really needed to do was focus on his homework instead of hanging out with friends before that or playing video games before that, and prioritizing the things that needed prioritized. So I wonder how much control we actually have sometimes over the things we get stressed out about, over the things we get worried about. Like we know in 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 5, it says, every thought we can take captive, right? And we want to submit that to Jesus. So in the sense that, like, we have control over our minds and the thoughts that we allow to come into our hearts. So if we have that kind of control, I wonder how much control we even have over some of the things that make us the most afraid in our lives. And it's important for us to know that God is always with us in those moments. And so Kyle's got a scripture that I love that he wants to share. So go ahead and check this out.
Hi Breakaway, I'm a student at Walden Middle School in Lake Orion, and I'm in 8th grade. My name's Kyle Winter. Kensington asked me to share my favorite Bible verse with you guys, and I would have to say my favorite one is Isaiah 43:1. It says, "But now, O Jacob, listen to the Lord who created you. O Israel, the one who formed you, says, Do not be afraid, for I have ransomed you. I have called you by name. This is important to me because it says that you're in God's hands always and you're never going to be alone. And this would help me when I was younger because I had to go places where I didn't want to go without my parents, and I would get scared that I had no friends there, and I don't know, it was just, Isaiah 43:1 really helped me with that. So I would write it all over my all over my Bible, and it would just help me through everything. And if you're struggling with loneliness, then this can help you through it too.
This is an amazing passage from Isaiah chapter 43. There's such comfort, like Kyle said. He's like, when I read this, I know that I'm in the hand of God. I can find rest. I can find comfort in the hand of God. And that's not just for Kyle, but that's for every one of you too. And one of the things that we can skip around or skip over sometimes in this passage is at the beginning it says, "O God of Jacob, O God of Israel." Some of you at home might know this, some of you might not, but Jacob and Israel is the same guy, is the same dude. At one point, God actually wrestled with who was Jacob at that time. He wrestled with him, and then at the end of the wrestling match, essentially, decided to name and change his name to Israel. Jacob meant heel grabber. If you know the story of Jacob and Esau, that's where Jacob was heel grabber is kind of a negative thing. Like that doesn't sound good. It also means like follower. And he was the second twin. So Esau and Jacob were brothers. Jacob was the second born twin. You can like picture like grabbing the heel of Esau as he's born. Crazy. But he had this kind of negative connotation about him. He was sneaky. He stole some things as he grew up. And now he has this moment, this encounter with God, and God transforms him through this wrestling match. And so I think it's important for us to know that it's okay to be honest with God. It's okay to wrestle with him sometimes, because he's the God of Jacob before. He's the God of our past and the God of our present and our future. So it's okay and it's good to know that God is with us, like Kyle said, in all of those seasons, in all of those times. And so thanks, Kyle. Our next person sharing is Maya Ross. So go ahead and check out some advice that Maya has for us right now.
Hi, I'm Maya and I'm going to high school next year, and if I had to give my 6th grade self some advice, it would definitely be to not worry about what other people think and to just be who you want to be and just let that shine through. Another piece of advice would definitely be to not perfect everything, because you aren't perfect and that's okay. And as long as you're working hard and trying your best, that's all that really matters.
Thanks so much, Maya. That was awesome. I think so true and relatable for all of us. You guys at home, leaders at home, me right here, worrying about what other people think. How often do we do that? And yet, it's not going to help us at all in the long run. What we do is we kind of put our self-esteem or our self-worth, our identity sometimes in other people's hands. And we're trying to please other people. When in reality, we were never designed to do that. We were never designed to exist to get our identity from other people. We're designed to get our identity from God. That's the only place we can get it. And so when we put our worth in others and our hope in others, we'll end up disappointed. Even if we put our hope and our identity in friends or in our family, we'll end up disappointed because people aren't perfect. But we got to put our hope and our identity in God. And then when we do that, we're able to live out the identity that he has for us and the purpose that he has for us in this life. And then the other thing Maya mentioned was not trying to be perfect in everything, but trying to just give our best in the things that we do. And I love this because in Colossians, if you didn't know this, Colossians chapter 3, verse 23, it says to do whatever it is you do as though you're serving God and not man, as though you're serving God. Whatever it is you do, whether it's you're at school, whether it's in your home with your family relationships, whatever it is that you're doing, if it's sports, if it's art, if it's band, if it's drama, whatever it is that you do it as though serving God and not man. So it doesn't say, and what that means is we should give our best. It doesn't say whatever it is you do it perfectly. It says whatever it is you do it as though you're doing it for God. So do your best and rest in that. And know that maybe it's not going to be perfect, but God's not asking you to be perfect. God is asking you to be you, because that's who he made you to be. So I love that. And now Maya has her favorite scripture that she wants to share with us. So go ahead and check this out.
And my favorite Bible verse is Philippians 4:13, which is, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. This Bible verse has really been with me through elementary school and middle school, and it's really stuck with me. I think it really means that even when we're going through something hard, that we can depend on God and that He will always be there for us, even when we don't feel like He is.
I love this verse, Maya, so I'm so glad you chose it and that it's one of your favorites. It's this idea that I can do all things, right? I can do all things, but that's not what it's actually saying. It's saying, like Maya mentioned, it's because He's with us. It's saying, because Christ is with me, I can do all things. And the context of this verse is actually right before this. Paul's in prison, is where he's writing this letter from. He's in prison. And what he says is, when I have very little, I can be content. And if you don't know, content really just means to be, it's kind of a more permanent or soulful, spiritual sense of happiness that does not depend on circumstances, but it's like this internal happiness that's just there because God gives it to us. So he says, I find contentment when I have very little, and I find contentment when I have a lot. I can find contentment in everything. So no matter what, I can do all things because Christ gives me strength. So Maya, I love that you chose this verse as your favorite to share with us today. Awesome job, everybody that shared. We're so glad that you guys sent in videos. I hope that everybody watching at home, I hope there's something that you took away from at least one of them. I can pretty much guarantee if you didn't get anything, go back and watch it again, because there is gold in here from these students. They might be just a little bit older than you. You might be an 8th grader yourself. You might be a leader, but I bet you that there is something you took away from what they shared, because I know that there was for me. So thank you so much, Katri, Kyle, and Maya. You guys were awesome. We have more students who are going to be sharing in the next couple weeks, so make sure that you come back and watch the Sunday stream. Some of you joined us last week on the YouVersion Bible Plan. We've got a new one coming. There's a link in the description. We want to see you. We'll probably throw the link in the chat too. If you have a way to somehow get on YouVersion, do it. It's awesome to be able to read together and walk through it. So make sure you do that. And then last thing is we're going to our Zoom groups right now. We're probably going to have a game at the beginning with the Grubhub gift card. So go ahead, make your way over there, put your grade and your name so you're able to just jump right in and get going with our Zoom groups. All right, we will see you next week. Thank you so much for watching. We love you guys.